What's good, YouTube? Welcome back to another video. Welcome back to the channel. So as I promised you guys, I will be making a video reacting to your predictions for Saturday night main events that will be taking place this Saturday. So we're gonna go through your predictions. I'm gonna give my little tidbit and everything like that as much as I can. Now, if I do see some of the predictions and if it's like pretty much the same thing, then I won't say too much. But for the first few, it'll probably must be going a little bit more in depth. So if I don't give too much emphasis on your predictions, it's because I've already seen it. So please don't be offended. So the first comment comes from a prediction comes from Sean. I'm going with Jay. He has Jay, Cody, Tiffany, and Penta. Now, Penta winning would be interesting just because I feel like he is owed an opportunity to become a champion. I think we can all agree he should have been a champion by now. And I feel like him holding the Intercontinental Championship would be an interesting move for him. I don't know if they would do it only because I just feel as if they're gonna do Dominic and John Cena facing each other, but it would make things a little bit more, unpredictable if they are going to do that match if the Intercontinental Championship isn't involved in that match, because then if it's the championship is involved, 9 out of 10 we can all can agree Dominic would retain, but they still could pull a swerve even then by giving John Cena that accolade and letting him become a Grand Slam champion. So there is that element there that you can play with. Tiffany, I feel like if she wins, people will be pissed because if Jade Cargill just turned heel, and if you have her lose after turning heel, she's a joke. It's over. And the thing is, with Tiffany, it really doesn't do anything because she's kind of went through everybody that there is to face. Like, if she hasn't faced a certain wrestler, it's because they haven't been built up enough. So it's just like there's more upside of having someone like uh Jade Cargill win this than having Tiffany retain. So I can see some of these predictions happening, don't get me wrong, but I just feel like they probably would give it to Jade Cargill. Cody winning, I can definitely see happening just because I feel like Cody is on the poster for WrestleMania 42, so I feel like he would more likely walk in as champion if anything. So gotta go with that. Jay winning, I think, can make a lot of sense just because of the story that they're telling with him right now, with him potentially becoming a heel, him playing up to that based on Raw this past week. And if you watch the interview afterwards, he played up to it as well. So that might end up playing into his character and his eventual heel turn. We might get to see that this Saturday with him becoming the world champion. So can't bet against that. I actually like that prediction. So the next one comes from Flores, and she says Dominic will retain. I definitely think he will be retaining. I feel as if he has to. I think even though he might not be doing the best with the Intercontinental Championship right now, but I just think him versus John Cena would be so cool to see, and having the Intercontinental Championship would make it just that much better. So definitely. The next comment comes from Flores once again and says, Cody Rhodes will retain. I can definitely see Cody retaining. I would love to see Drew win it, but I just feel like they might end up doing something different there and just end up having Drew eat the loss here. Maybe there's a way to protect him even in the loss. Maybe. I don't know if they can, but we'll see nonetheless. And then also you have a prediction that says CM Punk will beat Jey Uso. That's my prediction as of right now, but it can always change. I feel as if we're talking from like going from one big name to another, yes, I granted Jey Uso is a big name, but I just think CM Punk is the bigger name, if that makes sense. So I'm gonna say CM Punk probably will get the win there. The next one comment comes from Alex, and he says, "I got CM Punk. I think Jimmy cost Jey Uso, leading to the feud between the Usos. He also has Drew, Jade, and Dom. Dom I have retaining, Jade I have winning. Drew I think deserves it just because he's long overdue for an like actual title win and a title run. So wouldn't bet against that. I wouldn't be mad at that at all. And CM Punk winning because Jimmy gets involved, and maybe Jimmy gets involved trying to help Jey Uso, but it ends up backfiring and Jey loses because of Jimmy, and that might cost him the match, and he ultimately gets upset about it, maybe attacks Jimmy as a result. So I think that might be a route that they could potentially lean into. as we are heading into Survivor Series. So definitely have that. The next comment comes from Alec. He says, "My cousin Kelly says Jay, Cody, Tiffy, and Penta." Jay, I think, makes a lot of would be. I think from a story perspective, makes a lot of sense of him winning. So I will say that. Cody winning. I mean, it's Cody. You can't really bet against him. You can't really say too much about it. Um, Tiffy winning, like I said, it will cause a lot of rift, and people might start to turn on her, and that's something you don't really want. Even though I've been saying like she still feels like a heel to me, and doesn't really feel like a babyface or anything like that. So I don't know what else can do with her as far as her retaining. I just feel like you've gotten everything out of it, in my personal opinion, but only time will tell. And then Penta winning, love to see it. I mean, you could Penta would make sense if they really want to do, if they still want to do Drew, not Drew, but Dominic versus John Cena, but it's non-title, then I can see that happening. But I feel like they more likely would want the title to be involved. So that's my only thing with that. But I wouldn't be upset if they were to go with someone like a Penta holding the Intercontinental title. The next comment comes from Sean. He says, "My brother's Trey says, Punk, Cody, Jade, and Rusev." A lot of people are saying Punk. Is like it's kind of split between Punk for the most part. I've seen a few Jade. Cody for the most part I've been seeing. Jade, I think we all agree Jade deserves to win this. And Rusev's the first time I'm seeing Rusev be on this list. Rusev, I mean, since he's came back, he's been doing a little bit, but not too much. This will be something for him to kind of get the ball rolling on him again. I mean, he's a former U.S. champion, and I think it'll be fun to see him what he can do with the Intercontinental title around his waist and having a run with that. So, I mean, especially if you want to do a Rusev and John Cena match, I think that'd be something interesting. I mean, it might not be on high on a lot of people's list, but I think the possibility of it happening should be still existing nonetheless. So can't bet against that. The next one, comment comes from Jordan. He says Jay, Drew, Jade, and Penta. Hey, no more people. Some people want to yeet with Jey Uso as the world champion. So hey, if people want to yeet, they gonna yeet. I mean, might not. I think I would say there's a discourse. I feel like in a sense, because it's like if you look on live television, people are yeeting with this man. He's really really over. So I don't know. Um, I know people on online are not really the biggest fans of Jey Uso right now, but I don't know how they're gonna go about it. I guess they're kind of just gonna have to deal with it. But I mean, we'll see. We'll see. Drew, I would love to see. Jade, I think, has to win this one. It's not even she has to win this. And Penta, I think, would be something interesting if they're trying to pull a swerve there. So I wouldn't be mad at it. The next comment comes from Nelson. Once again, WWE shows they don't care about black people and have Tiffany Stratton retain her title. I don't know. I mean, I will say that if you're looking from a perspective where they're not really pushing the black, the African American talent like they should, do have a point there. I don't think Tiffany will retain though. I just don't. I don't think she's retaining. I really don't think there's a need for her to retain at all. But we'll see. The next comment comes from Flores, and she says Jade will become champion. Agreed. Jade has to win this. In all honesty, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Like, if she doesn't win, then I really kind of lose all faith in not in I wouldn't say in her in the sense of becoming a champion, just because they kind of just botched it. But yeah, that's neither here or there. The next comment comes from Trey. He says, "I'm going with Punk versus Jay. Ends up no contest. Brock and Bronson destroy both. Drew wins. Jade finally wins title. Bianca returns and face to face between them. Dirty Dom finds a way to retain. Dirty Dom is going to find a way to retain. It's Dirty Dom for a reason. Punk and Jay, I think, will end in some type of shenanigans. I know people were saying we could see Brock and Braun and Bronson on the War Games team, and I think Austin Theory as well. Maybe they go ahead with that without Seth. Maybe. Drew winning, I think, will be very fun to see. I think it'll be a very interesting choice. Um, I definitely think Bianca returning after Jade to set up that match between those two would be something interesting. Because I feel as if they're gonna do this match, it would be on a stage like WrestleMania, and that's me being honest. So I do think we might get a potential big, moment there. So only time will tell you honestly, but we will see. The next comment comes from Alex. He says, "My friend Nigel says Jay, Cody, Jade, and Penta." A lot of people going Penta for the Intercontinental Championship. I'm surprised, but I think everybody else is in agreement, at least for the Jay, Cody, and Jade part. It's kind of split between Jay and Punk, but outside of that, I think it's more um, precise as far as where I stand and everything like that. The next comment comes from Almighty Braun, and he says, once again in WWE, Brock Lesnar abuses his power after Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed attacked Punk and Jay. Brock gets inserted into a title match and wins world title. Now, if this happens, oh boy, people would be irritated. And I know some people would be very irritated. My homie Dub would not be okay with, for one, Brock Lesnar being there, and second, him being in a match for a world championship, and third, him winning the world championship. No, please don't. Absolutely not. The next comment comes from Shavonda. And their predictions are Penta wins IC title, Jade wins women's championship, Cody retains his title, and CM Punk wins world title. A lot of people are saying Penta. I don't know. Maybe there's something I'm not paying attention to, but people want to see some Penta as the Intercontinental Champion, and I ain't gonna hate you for it. Jade, I think, like I said, has to win it. Cody is Cody, so you can't bet against him. And Punk win, I think, is the safe option in my personal opinion. The next comment comes from Samara. Is her predictions are Dominic, Jade, Cody, and Punk. Now these are kind of my predictions right here. Or copy and paste almost. So I think Dominic, like I said, Dominic has to retain. Because I think you're gonna set the matchup between him and John. Jade, it's a necessity. You got to put the title on her. She needs that title right now. Cody, like I said, it's not the best choice. I would love to see something more interesting and have Drew win, but I think they're gonna just keep it on Cody. But we'll see. And Punk winning, like I said, it's the safe choice and it is the bigger name out of him and Jey Uso. So, um, yeah. The next comment comes from Jackson. He says, "I am choosing Cody Rhodes, Dominic Mysterio, Jade Cargill, and CM Punk." Okay, and we have more. We have two more comments, and we're gonna read those. Mike says, "I am going with Dominic Mysterio retains and furthers his rift with the Judgment Day. Cody Rhodes retains, CM Punk wins. Jade Cargill scores a dominant victory over Tiffany." So you're saying like Jade Cargill going very dominant in the sense of like her dominating most of the match, or if we're talking like squash match. Because I could see her doing both, but I feel like it's probably gonna be more of a back and forth, just cause. But Dominic Mysterio and his story with the Judgment Day, I think you could have this match be used to set that up even more. So I think that's something I would love to see them, more likely continue teasing and pointing fingers at. So we'll see. I don't know if the Judgment Day will probably be involved. I think maybe because Dominic's kind of been winning somewhat on his own. So and if he is using shenanigans, it's because of a Grande Americano. So he hasn't really been relying on the Judgment Day like that. So I think they're going to continue to tell that story. So the next comment comes from Tank, and he says, "I am picking Dominic Mysterio, Jey Uso, Drew McIntyre, and Jade Cargill." Now these honestly, outside of the Jey Uso one, is pretty much the predictions that I want to see, but I don't think those are the predictions that they're going to go with. Like I said, but like I said, only time will tell. So we will see how these predictions end up playing out. But those were all of your predictions. I appreciate every single one of you guys following on my channel. I appreciate everybody, you guys, taking the time of your day to comment and talk about your predictions. We're going to do more videos like this in the future. I want to get you guys more involved in videos and stuff like that. So that's why I take the time to kind of do videos like this. But with that being said, hope everyone has a great day, great rest of your week, and I'll see you guys in the next video.